Okay. Welcome to the In Your City show. I feel like it's been a year since we've been in here when the weekend goes by.
A year?
It feels like it. It is now the hottest happy hour in STL. So grab your mocktail, your cocktail, or whatever it is that makes your evening enjoyable. Maybe it's just being able to breathe in some air, right?
That's right.
We're exhausted.
Oh my gosh.
Literally,
We had a great weekend though.
we did. Well, great weekend. It feels like we've been gone for a long time, but we actually were lucky enough. We were one of the publishers. So City Lifestyle magazines, which thank you very much that our show is brought to you by our Clayton, Chesterfield, and St. Charles magazines. We were invited as one of the top publishers of at City Lifestyle, which there are literally 200. We keep saying 260, 65, but who knows how many there are now around
530.
around the United States. So we were one of, I don't know, was there 30 of us there? I'm not even sure how many
Yeah,
of the
there
top
was 30 of
publishers
us.
invited to San Francisco for an incredible Gold Plus conference, is what they call it. So we hadn't had a chance to see San Francisco this way, and it was really cool. The corporate, the actual, CEO of the company, and I don't know what it is, their CFO, there's all these different initials to go put this great event together where we didn't just go sit in a conference room. They had a bus for us, which that sounds awful, but it was a bus with all of us that know each other, like
It's a
we were
nice
gonna.
little tour bus actually. It
Yeah,
had tables and
yeah, it
all
really
kinds of
was
stuff.
nice. And they did this, what I'd call an adventure. We went to all of these amazing places in San Francisco, went across the Golden Gate Bridge, went out on a gorgeous yacht where they had this wine sommelier who was absolutely hilarious, teach us about wine, learned a lot of things there. Went to the World Aquarium, went to Walt Disney, who has a museum in San Francisco, which I did not even know that existed there. His daughter Diane actually started it. And when you find out, we all go to Walt Disney World or we read about it or we know all the incredible books and stories and cartoons that this man, yeah, has created, but the awards
Won
that,
more Academy Awards than any other person.
right,
And this one you see right here is a special one that was made just for him. One of, I think, three that were specially made in the Oscars. But as you notice, it was for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So the seven other little statues representing the seven dwarfs.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And hence Gordon's hat that he's wearing today, that I keep giggling because the way he's wearing it, he's making his ears slip out. And it like drives me
It's
crazy.
a little bit high.
In his ears. But so he wore his hat because one of the other places we toured is Oracle Park, where the Giants play. The most beautiful view. They had us down on the first row, like in front of the dugout, but they took us up top in a special seating area that's right in the center. You're looking out at the bay. The boats and ships are going by. And then, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's right there. I guess, is it after or Fisherman's Wharf or before?
Oh no, it's further. It's before you go down to Pier 39. So as you look at the bay and you go left, then the piers start from like Pier 1, Pier 2,
Okay.
Pier 3, Pier 5, and on and so on and so on. Pier 33 being where
Took the ferry to go over to
the
Alcatraz.
aquarium was, and then of course as you're seeing right here, if you're watching online, then you're seeing all these sea lions that are up on these platforms, and the reason they're there is to stay away from
It's a safe place to stay away
sharks.
from the predators, the sharks and the great whites that come through, and when the water's really cold, and then you have the Ghirardelli chocolate factory, and then they built Ghirardelli Square around that with music and restaurants and shopping, and then an incredible Ghirardelli experience where you can get the most amazing chocolate fudge sundae and pick your chocolates and San Francisco ornaments. We went into Chinatown, but we did all of this stuff in we literally walked. And if you've ever walked up a hill in San Francisco, you feel my pain. Oh my gosh. We taken the trolley down and then walked up. So it was really stupid part on us, but we wanted to see Armad Circle, or I'm sorry, Armad Street, which is the crookedest street in the country, extremely
There's
crooked.
Chinatown.
There's if you get in an accident there, you're out of luck. But we're in Chinatown, just amazing. I mean, in what, a 49-mile square area of San Francisco, there are so many different styles of shopping, living, and dining. It's quite an incredible experience. Fisherman's Wharf, that was so much fun. The market is just out of this world to go in. So if you haven't been to San Francisco and you can put it on your bucket list, I'd say, yeah, go for it. But one of the coolest things was they use San Francisco and all of these great places that I mentioned to you to teach us about experience, to teach us how Walt Disney was not always Walt Disney. Walt Disney went broke. He failed many, many times, but he never gave up. He said no to things that didn't make sense for his dream, his vision, and he didn't let anybody stand in his way of dreaming the most incredible place, to visit. And to think that Walt Disney, if you didn't know, it was going to be built in Missouri. And when they finally, because of the story and why it ended up, in California, to know that they built it in 1 year, that's also incredible. Now, everything that you see now was not built in 1 year. There were a lot of transformation and add-ons, but that park was ready to open. There's our mod circle again. If you're watching, if you go to theluinfo.com, then you're going to be able to watch us live and see all the gorgeous things that we add to the show to be able to watch and see. Plus our guests, you'll be able to see them rather than just hear their voice. The other cool thing, if you didn't know this, if you're not at luinfo.com, you can go to your phone, put the Lou Information Station app in your phone. You'll see the KLIS call letters for 590 AM come up. Click that, put on your phone. You can listen crystal clear the radio show. That's great as well. But let's see, what was the name of the hotel? The J Autograph.
The J Autograph. I recommend if you stay in San Francisco, you stay at the J Autograph Hotel Collection.
Absolutely exquisite.
It was amazing.
Beautiful. The patio, it's close to everything, walking distance if you want to just walk down to wherever you want to go. The other cool thing, we didn't get a chance to ride in one. We tried, but it was taking too long, and we were getting ready to go on the tour over in Alcatraz, which is quite creepy and scary to see, to think how these people were, taken to this island when they went to prison, and the things that happened there. Machine Gun Kelly, of course. Gosh, what's the famous Italian?
Al Capone.
Al Capone. He spent his time over there as well. But it's a little eerie and creepy when you go through there and experience and put the headsets on, to kind of listen to some of the prisoners talk. But it was a very cool experience. So we've got a great show ahead, another cool experience for you. The In Your City show today shines a light on the power of stories to connect, heal, and inspire. We have author Anne Shaw Heinrich, who takes us into the Women of Paradise County series. She is now on book 2, which themes of generosity, justice, and redemption reel the fine lines of human connection. And then we'll welcome Becky Byrne to the show. So weird how our show sometimes the synchronicity of either people's names, maybe they're similar in the wealth, business, health. It's kind of crazy because it's not on purpose at all. But so we have Anne Shaw Heinrich, who's an author, but then we're going to talk to Becky Byrne because we have Annie's Hope. So just kind of, similar.
It is kind of crazy how that works.
But that is the Center for Grieving Kids, and whose mission ensures that no child grieves alone. And unfortunately, we have a real life scenario in our own life, and I know there's other people out there that their child has, family member has lost a loved one way too early. So today's show is about resilience, community, and the hope that comes when we lift each other up. So we are going to bring on our first guest right now to you. It is that time, and let us welcome to you the woman behind the Women of Paradise County series, and that's Anne Shaw Heinrich. And did I say your last name correctly?
You sure did.
We've known you for a while. We know your husband,
Yeah.
Brett, who is amazing, so much for community and good. But like I always say, I never walk around saying your last name when I'm talking to you.
Right. Yeah. It's so I've always kept Shaw. That was my maiden name, and then just Heinrich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Anne Shaw
you're an
Heinrich.
author now. We want to know what you
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times authors have those fake names, but now when movie stars are and authors, we're keeping our name. We're not changing it to
Yeah.
something else, you know, and being a, I guess, I don't know, a ghost. I mean, there are ghost writers out there,
There
of course,
are.
but we're keeping our name, which we should be proud to be able to have. So
Yeah.
thank you for being with us. So you're on your second novel. I remember your first one,
Yes.
and I have
Thank
it as
you.
well.
Oh,
And here
good.
you are moving the series along with
Yeah.
a new book, and this one is Violet is
Yeah,
Blue.
this is Violet is Blue. It is book 2 in the Women of Paradise County series, and this released in June of 25. Yeah. And I'm literally, book 3 is House of Teeth, and I have just a few more chapters to finish, and that will go to the editor.
And you
So
said House of Teeth.
House of Teeth.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, tell us, this is set in a backdrop of Paradise County, captures the nuanced relationships that people from all walks of life share. So give us, how in the world were you, I always wonder, you're sitting there, you're sleeping, you have a dream. Some people say they dream. How did this Women of Paradise County, and how did you pick that to develop this series?
I wish I knew how my mind worked. Sometimes it's a little crazy, but the first book, God Bless the Child, was written almost 20 years ago now, the first draft of that. And life just got busy. I've had the privilege of working with a professional editor and just, kind of who you get to know kind of thing. And we had written that, and life just kept getting in the way. My kids were really little, all of that. And I put it away for a while. And then just recently, the nest is emptying a little bit. I didn't feel like I really wanted to finished with that yet. And the timing was right this time around, so.
Women put things on the back burner, right?
Right.
We have these children, these dreams, these things we do, and then kind of put it in a comfortable little corner. Thank goodness you've gone back to it.
Oh
Sometimes,
gosh,
excuse me, they can
yes.
stay in that corner. So
Yeah, I'm so thankful. And there are just people who've encouraged me, hey, I think you better do that. Why don't you do that? And fortunately, my family's been very, very, they're excited for me because it is a joy space.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Paradise County, tell us why Paradise County.
So I will tell you the books. If you've read any of the reviews, I've gotten some really lovely reviews
Yes.
on
Yes, you
Goodreads
have.
and Amazon, which is
Yes, you have.
which is it's been really lovely. Occasionally you'll get a zinger, but that's okay. That's what happens when you put yourself out there. But that's just life, right? But I have been able to weave been able to tackle some dark topics in it. There's no question about that. But what fascinates me, and I think most, what?
Do any of us get out of life on?
We all have these dark.
Never. And I will never tire of just watching how humans respond. You can have something really dark happen and turn around the corner and there it's cotton candy. And then so when positive comes to light, one of the things I've been saying a lot about this second book is that dark and light need each other to be in their fullness.
Absolutely,
right?
they do. Yeah.
And so I really enjoy and I've always been just a people watcher. I love to watch how people respond.
Oh my gosh.
I love San. I've been there.
That's what we did. It's like, I got to sit outside under these umbrellas. I got to sit right here where we can watch people walk by. And it's just amazing the different people that we see. And it just,
personality, and you can tell the walks of life coming together in those areas, and you can tell how they're reacting to life differently.
Yes.
Just by how they're dressing, how they're staying, presence, their dogs. I mean, their kid couples a kid to another parent. We are all reacting to life so completely different, and yet the same in some areas.
and doesn't it make you think, because I know you come from a background of faith, right?
Yes.
So doesn't it make you think, and I just thought about this, I mean, it just hit me, doesn't it make you think about how complex God must be?
Oh,
I mean, we know he is, but to think about all the different personalities, and he made us all after his image, right? After their image.
Exactly.
So you start thinking about that and you think, wow, there's so many different personalities. It's like, how complex is God that all these different personalities are him? in a way,
Yeah, and what I've liked to do with these books, I really do. The truth is, everybody has a story, so I've been able to kind of dive into, there are main characters, of course, in all the books, but um, to tell an experience from someone else's voice. And then there are some characters, I've gotten feedback. There are some characters who have no voice at all, and honestly, that happens in real life
It
too.
sure does. And I think, yeah, that's
wow.
how I was going
Yeah,
to ask you is, how do those dynamics, help you explore both the conflict and redemption in your storytelling? And I think that's kind of, you
yeah,
you answered that question talking
yeah.
about how some do have a voice, some don't, and how all walks of life have come together for you to be able to talk about that. You say that who deserves in generosity or
Gosh, you know what? I'll tell you. So this book, the Violet is Blue book, when I started it, Kelly, I was not thinking that it was going to be a book about social justice. You don't start out thinking I'm going to do that. But the way the characters are explored, there are some characters in here in particular who are living in extreme poverty. But they are, because they live in a small town, they're in a very close location with people who have things, who do have. So it's contrasting the haves and the have-nots, how they touch each other, particularly, poverty's everywhere, right? But when you're in a small town, people know your name.
yeah, instead of
You have a name and they know where you're supposed to be. We like for people to be tidied up and to go into a spot where somehow
Well, we
someone
like
has
them,
decided
we
where they
like them
need to
to live
be.
the way we want them to live and say what we want them to
Exactly.
say.
Exactly. And so I was really, and I was raised in a small town and I've lived in a small town as an adult. So just watching those dynamics, there were a lot of things that I was able to see, um, as a child. Do you remember being a kid and you just assume that all the adults that are around you are just know what they're doing? They know what they're doing.
Yes.
They're right.
How we know they didn't.
And when you get older, you
Right.
start
You
questioning your
start
parents, going, "Wait a
realizing
minute."
it, and then you start to see them as humans and people who are also still developing and bringing all, so the relationships are really complex. What I've been told is that, it's a very, very much a character-driven book, and I think that that's fair.
Find it
Just doing a deep dive.
fascinating. Writing a children's book, it's just a character, it's fun, it's not, you know, real, so to speak. I think I'm amazed that your mind can come up with all these people and names and what they're doing and how they're interacting within a story. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
I can't explain how it happens. I don't do an outline. That's not how I work. Um, but I do have an editor who is willing to get messy with me, and because when you're spanning, when you do one book, you're keeping track of timelines and everything, but then you're introducing new characters in the second book, but you still have to make certain that people who didn't read book one, that that the book could stand alone on its own. And so there is a chart of who's the person, when did something happen, how old were they when they happened, to just make sure it all lines up.
Do you have to
Because
start from finish and move backwards sometimes? I
yes,
always wondered about that because we
yes,
see so many shows today that we watch on TV and series that we watch on TV, and they kind of take you to the back, the end of time,
yeah,
and then they take you back of how it got
But
there.
they usually
yes,
start though in time and then
Right.
go backwards.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you got to pay attention. Is what you have to do. Keeping track about that. I do not know about that. I don't know how I do that. But, it is a joy space. And I do think, talking about, I feel like for some people, they would say, oh, the universe said yes this time. Or, I think it was in God's timing. I think back when I wrote the first book 20 years ago, I might not have had my kids were little. There was so much, I wouldn't have had the capacity, frankly,
Mm-hmm.
to take on something like that. And I also think as we get older, our empathy muscles are so much stronger. I think it's made me a better writer and observer of people. So I think the timing was right.
Sure.
now. You know what I mean? I was in my 30s when I wrote the first draft.
And you see the world so differently than
Right?
you do when you're young.
Yes.
So how does that affect your
Yeah.
writing? Because we always get upset when we see a series on a Netflix series, and then we realize they changed writers.
You feel it.
Yeah.
We feel it.
We feel it, you know.
Changed so
And
much.
so how does that
Yeah.
affect your writing when it comes to when you started this first one and now you're, what are we, 20 years later?
And
Yes,
we change so much.
we do.
I mean, honestly, I'm
And
a
I was
different
mindful
person.
of it, when I reached back out to my editor, who, I had some other writing that I wanted him to take a look at, and he said, "Well, I'll be glad to do that, but I want you to pull out God Bless the Child. We spent a lot of time on that, and honestly, I hadn't looked at it for about 10 years, and I was just like, oh, that's just in the slush pile. But I promised him that I would do it, and we pulled it back out. We did make some changes. I did tweak things ever so slightly, and I think maybe just from probably a more forgiving lens than I might have had.
That's true too. I
Right.
think we do.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I feel like I'm a lot more willing to give people the benefit of the doubt.
I find it too incredible. You as a woman, you've written this, and your editor is a man.
Yes.
So your viewpoints, that must have been an interesting conversation when you're going over your books with two different view perspectives.
Yeah, he is really good. First of all, I always recommend, I talk to a lot of young writers or people who want to do this. There are a lot of people who doesn't want to do it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And but I always say if you can have an editor, do it.
Oh,
It
yes,
really does.
absolutely.
It really does matter. You have to pay them. He's a
Yeah.
professional and everything. But he's made me a better writer. I always say, David, you need to come save me from myself. You know, he'll catch just certain habits or things that you don't realize you're doing.
Well, let's make sure people
Yeah.
understand before our time runs out is
Yeah.
what is the experience? What will someone experience? What do you hope someone gains? And I know everybody will have a different viewpoint, opinion, perspective, but what does the women of Paradise County, what will it bring to us as a reader? What will they experience?
Wow,
Let me
that's a
see the
good
books a second.
question. Yeah.
Gordon, can you make
I
sure
would
they can
say,
you have the
Oh, I
covers
have them right
already?
here.
You have them?
yeah.
I don't,
Yeah,
yes, I
you
got
have
both of them.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I would say that what I hope people will experience is just imagining that everybody does have a story. Characters we bring things with us. What we've seen,
Whether
what
we're
we've touched,
poor,
rich,
sick, healthy,
poor,
absolutely.
whatever, that we still have those. But still there's something about just basic humanity.
Will we learn something from this?
Yes, absolutely. About just, I think, empathy,
Could we mandate this? Everyone has to read it.
Oh, gosh, I wish.
I
wish.
and
Yeah.
respect one another.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at your two covers, God Bless the Child has a pin cushion, little booties, scissors, kind of a sewing collection on an old table. Violet is Blue, your second book, book 2 of Women of Paradise County, has an old water pitcher with a skeleton on it. In front of it, lemons, and maybe that's a knife sale and stuff. And then you've got this beautiful from an ostrich.
It's a peacock feather, a male peacock. Yeah.
Tell a little bit about your cover choices.
Well, so the publisher does help with that.
Okay.
But they're lovely and they've really been helping me think about it. But each one of those elements on the cover is a little Easter egg, I guess, for the story.
All right.
I will tell you that the peacock, occasionally I do like to throw something in that's just wacky. And I do that because, have you ever heard, when you hear somebody say, you just can't make this stuff up? And it's true.
Yeah,
Like what really happens, it's just weird stuff. And there's a scene in there that's just totally out there. But you could imagine it probably happening to real people. And there's a peacock involved.
So
Yeah.
Violet Sellers is blue, and for good reason. She's repressing a shocking secret she won't tell anyone, especially her comfortably middle-class parents.
Right.
Book 1, book 1, which is God Bless the Child, when we first meet Mary Klein in God Bless the Child book, one of the Women of Paradise County series. She's sewing her main obsession besides eating.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. All the characters are flawed. There's no one that's perfect, and I haven't found anybody perfect yet, and so I think that makes them relatable.
We think we're perfect.
Right.
We think we can be perfect. And that is probably, to me, my biggest fault. And I think most people, because we just become these know-it-alls. We don't allow for mistake. We can become very unforgiving and less empathetic from us thinking that somehow or another, we or the people we're with or our children are supposed to be perfect, and we wear ourselves and everyone else out.
Truth.
I just made a confession.
Amen. It's the
I
truth.
just made a confession.
And I do think women are particular.
What are we talking about, Gal?
But I think women are particularly good at that.
Oh my gosh,
because
yes.
we receive all kinds of messages that we're supposed to be all things to all people at all times, and and I think it isn't possible.
Does the book allow us to help see ourselves or help us express and maybe learn something, like you said, empathy, but
I hope so.
as a woman.
Yeah, you know what I hope? Because as much as the stories are, like, I would have been tickled to have one book published, honestly. But I always feel like God had something bigger in mind, and it was just about waiting for the right time. And so I'm still just in a grateful space, and just recognizing, wow, not everybody gets that opportunity. And I'm keenly aware of that. And just I consider it kind of I feel responsible that whatever I want to put out, I want it to be really high quality. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
No, of course not.
So, or my time.
Your books are absolutely fabulous. Now, to get these books, which is the first book, I'm not looking at that.
Yeah, God Bless the Child.
And the second book is Violet
is Blue.
Where can we get a hold of it? I mean, obviously you can Google the name.
Yeah, you can Google it. I have a website that lists all the different places, but definitely AnneShaw.Heinrich.com.
Yeah. Virtually.
Yeah.
You can put that in.
And these are also available in audio format, right?
They are, the whole series. Yes, and that was really fun to do too.
And is it your voice saying?
It is not. It's not. No. And that is a new trick that I've learned, that I've started incorporating listening into my writing and editing process, because my eyes are tired. I mean, I still work full time and look at the screens all day, so when you get home, then often I will hear things if I listen to it. If you can listen to it in Word, and even pick the voice or whatever, and I'll catch things with my ears that I don't catch with my eyes.
Oh, I love that.
So, and actually it's good because a lot of people consume literature that way.
We have 5 senses. We learned all about that this week.
Right.
Talking about using those 5 senses, that's really truly how we experience. Obviously, it's how we experience everything.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're using one or the other more, in that to have that experience. And when we're creating it, like you creating a book, you're really having to look into that of how this is going to affect the 5 senses with writing. Thank you so much,
gosh,
for sharing your books with us. We are excited that you're here, and we're able to share these with others, and hope that they'll read them and be able to understand how it's so important to, I guess, explore generosity. To find how you can do that with all walks of life, and how much more powerful we are as people if we can come together, no matter where we're coming from, in our lives. So
right.
No one's better than the other. Thank
No,
you so much, Anne. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks to you both.
Well, we are going to take it to a break here at the In Your City show at the Lou Information Station, but we will be right back with more. So I hope you'll keep tuning in, because we're going to meet Becky Byrne, talk about Annie's Hope. You can put the app and listen to this. All right, we are back here at the Lou Information Station at louinfo.com if you're watching virtually. And of course, you can put the app on your phone, type in Lou Information. KLIS will pop up with the app on your phone. Listen to the radio crystal clear from anywhere in the world, as well as the Lou Info. Watch it virtually anywhere in the world. There we go. Can see if I can say that 3 times. Not very well. So we're moving into the show. We have our next guest, which is Becky Byrne. She is the founder of Annie's Hope. And what a great organization that you have founded, Becky. It is a center for grieving kids. And it is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting children and teens and families who are grieving the death of someone significant in their life, which unfortunately we know all too well with the loss of my son-in-law, which has just been a year, April, which our grandson's father, my daughter's husband. And you know, someone's going through this every single day of their life. This is happening to someone we know either way too soon or later in life. And it is really difficult as children to, I really believe they do. It's very different for a child than it is an adult, even though
It
it's
is.
heart-wrenching for all of us. It's difficult. So why don't first, Becky, let us know a little bit about what Annie's Hope is about and why you founded this beautiful organization.
Sure, I'd love to talk about Annie's Hope.
Yes.
So, Annie's Hope is all about the kids that are grieving because we as a society don't recognize it. It gets shown as all these different things, right? We always think that, oh, they're tired because, they got up too early, or they're grouchy because they didn't like what they had to eat, or, those kinds of things. There's all kinds of behaviors that come with grief that aren't recognized. And it's not an easy thing to talk about with your kids. It's another one of those taboos that still exists.
And they always don't act like, because they're kids, sometimes we think they're just kids. They're resilient. They
Exactly.
bounce back. This is what kids do. We don't, yeah,
Exactly. So with that, we're all about looking at those kids, knowing that it's a very unique experience because there are challenges like we just discussed, but also because developmentally, they don't think, their heads don't work like ours yet,
no.
right? And it's hard enough for an adult to grieve and go through that, all the emotions and all the changes, and family support or lack thereof, the community support, maybe supportive, maybe not. So it's a hard journey for everyone, but for kids, they're changing so fast socially and behaviorally. The way their head works changes. There's spiritual components to kids just as well. That's changing all the time. So that constant shift in who they are and how they look at the world and how they fit into it is really complicating when it comes to grief.
And it will change. They'll keep going through, I believe, I'm not an expert, but I believe there's going to be various stages of their life that's going to affect them different. That parent, Dylan, our son-in-law, will always be 37. So there's always going to be that age in their mind. He's not going to get older as he's seeing everyone around that, or, I'm saying he because our grandson, but grandsons, and they're each a different age when this happened. That one's 8 and one's 12. There's just so many components from when maybe they're 30 and they're getting married, or when they're 37 and they're same age as their dad. I mean,
Exactly.
they need tools to get through all these stages in life.
They do. We're not born knowing how to manage this.
No.
And Annie's Hope really exists because we don't know. We have to be able to learn how to cope with life's challenges, and this being one of the biggest ones. So it's not only learning to cope, but it's who am I now? Looking at who am I? Am I still a son if I don't have a dad? I have a mom, but I'm not a dad's kid,
What
right?
a deep question or thought that you just said. Am I still a son because I don't have or a daughter? Am I still a
Yeah,
daughter because I
exactly.
don't have one of my, my parents? That's
Mhm.
really, gosh, that's very, very emotional thought right there.
It really is. It really is. And that's only one of just a million.
Yeah.
When a 3-year-old says, "When is daddy going to be done being dead?"
Mm.
They don't get permanents, right?
Mhm.
Everything's very concrete. And can we go visiting that? I want to go to heaven, just like you want to go to the grocery store. So these are the really unique pieces that come in grief. And when you connect kids together and they don't feel so different,
Mhm.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
That is really powerful. Our
And
grandson
that's
just got
something we
hurt the
want to
other
do is
day.
we don't want to be different. And even as we get to be adults, we
No.
want to know, just like, I'm sorry, hon, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just like, so we go through experiences with our City Lifestyle magazine, right? And we
Mhm.
meet with other publishers and we think we're the only ones that have to go through this. And then we meet them and they go through things. It's nothing like grief, but it is when we get older, even
We're like, oh,
all
you
through our
have it
life.
too?
I mean,
We're
we
not
go through
alone.
it too, but all of a sudden it gave us a sense of, oh my gosh, it's not just us. It's not just us. So I can't imagine the magnitude and how many times it's magnified through the eyes of a child.
Exactly. That sense of isolation, it's just, it is just like this huge, heavy cloak that hangs over them. And so as soon as you get them together, you start the process of being able to look at all those things you don't want to tell anybody because they might make fun of you, that you don't have a mom anymore.
And you are very
That
few
happens.
when you're in school. You are one of a very select group that is missing a parent in their life, you know. But when
It's,
you're together in Ace Hope, you're together in a
you
very
just
large
fit. You
group.
belong. They always say, they get us. They'll
Mhm.
talk about their newfound
Kids can be
friends.
brutal too to other
And
kids.
kids can be very brutal. It
Yes.
absolutely, they'll use anything these days, I think.
Yes.
But if you can get them together to start the process, they can start maybe having the confidence because they lose confidence because they question, how did I play a part in this somehow?
Right.
Even though there's no connection for a kid that can't think analytically, right? They put puzzle pieces together. They don't go together, right?
Maybe they
I
were
didn't
mad at
tell
him.
him I loved
I
him
was just gonna
last
say
night.
maybe they were mad at him because they had to go to bed earlier or something or whatever. Because kids get in trouble. It's a normal thing to
Exactly.
get in trouble, but it could have been,
Exactly.
that day or that
Somehow they
night.
take it onto themselves
Yeah.
as if they were somehow culpable for it. But when you get them together, then and you can start introducing ways of what do you like to do? You have to get in their world, right? What do you like to do for fun? Oh, I color. Really? Well, then we're going to use art and color and creative things for them to start looking at what's going on, the emotions, Kids feel every emotion that's out there. They don't
They
have the
hear
words
everything
for it,
too.
and they surely don't know what to do with it,
Mhm.
right? We struggle as adults sometimes to
Right.
know with our intense big emotions, right? So it's just worse like that. And so it's the sense of isolation. It's about learning ways to cope. It's about communicating. How can you talk about what you need? Because you have a set of twins and they don't grieve the same. The same parent dies and they don't grieve the same because
Mhm.
they have all the life experiences. They may have the genetic makeup, all the same identical twins. They don't have the life experiences the same. One of them went down the street and played with this kid who wasn't so nice to him. The other one went to play with this kid over here that was like, come on, yeah, I want to share my whatever with you, that kind of thing. So no process is ever identical. Husband and wives aren't, you
No,
know.
you're right. So what are some of the things at Annie's Hope that you offer? I know you have a wonderful camp that the kids can
We
experience
do.
together and get out of the
Yes.
normal world. And I know obviously it sounds like you do some sort of an evaluation with them to find out their likes and what they're about so you can know maybe what are the activities that would work best for them.
Yes,
Tell a little bit
we
about
do.
what you can expect and how you can be a part of Annie's Hope.
Sure. You can just, if you can pick up the phone, if you have the energy and the organization to just pick up a phone, which is a challenge, right? For some people
Mhm.
in the midst of grief when they're grieving for themselves and their kids. But if they can pick up the phone and talk to us, we'll tell them about our family support groups where the kids and the adult that's surviving and caring for the kids come. Sometimes it's a grandparent, aunt or uncle that comes with them. They're going to come once a week for 8 weeks, and their cohort, if you want to use that newer term, is the group of families that come week one and they follow through each week and they get to know each other. That's where you build the trust, and that's where you can start to look at really what's on the inside, things that aren't just in our head, but it's in our heart that we can't really share any other place.
Mhm.
So that's family support groups, but we have special weekends for teens, just teens and our facilitators. That's it. So you don't have the parent component. You're meeting them where they are, right? The camps are all about fun, but we also do candle lighting ceremonies that say, here's the elephant, it's in the room, it's stomping on us, it's spitting on us, it smells horrible, but we're giving you the forum to tell us about that elephant, which is the grief piece and the pain parts
Sure.
of it. So that happens at camp. So there's grief woven in to help them work through some of it, process some, and there's also tons and tons of fun. But we work with schools. We go into schools and run grief groups there, because think about it, your kid being in school for 6-7 hours, and if they don't know how to attend to you and they think they're the only one, how are they supposed to be successful academically?
Yeah, just little things, different things that happen at school when there's parent-teacher conference,
Mm-hmm.
when there's awards night at school. There's things that normally the mom and dad, even if they might be divorced or not together, not married, they're still coming to see their kids. And then there's that child that's missing both parents or one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Those are difficult steps in their life to get through and
That
understand how they're going to be able to work through that. Is there a cost for Annie's Hope?
there is not a penny. Everything is free. We want it open to anyone to be able to come. Yeah, it's vitally important. It's one of our core values, is not charging families for the support that they need. They
Sure.
deserve it.
I know there's a
Go
beautiful
ahead.
story we wrote in our magazines, and some of the pictures. I think I remember. Do you remember the rocks? I think we put on the cover of our St. Charles the rocks. Was that a some sort of a program that the kids did together in remembering their
Is this the
parents?
painted rocks?
Yes.
So yes, again, kids like to paint. They go out, they find it themselves. Now, as soon as you start talking about this, you're stirring stuff up. You don't know, okay? It's their process, they're doing, but they're going around and just looking for their rock that they're going to paint. And then we invite them. We don't make them do anything.
Sure.
We invite them to paint that, and give us an idea of what your mom was like, or your brother or sister, grandparent, whatever it is. And so they'll decorate it up, and that's how those become. And then afterwards, that has value for them. But the really great part is when you say, tell me more. Tell us what this means to you, because then they've gone deep.
Mm-hmm.
So you told me earlier, or you told us earlier, that this is free, that it doesn't cost anything, but you can't run an organization without money. So how do you go? What do you guys do to raise money to give all these programs to these children? And do you have anything coming up that we can talk about, like an event or something that's coming up? And how can people get online and find ways to donate money to help you with these programs?
Absolutely. So, yes, we raise every penny every year, like you just mentioned. And it's all about awareness out there, right? They can't give if they don't know about it. So, awareness is a big deal. That's why we're so grateful to be on here, as one of the reasons. But also, you can go to annieshope.org. Okay, and there's a donate now button. But we have fundraisers. The next one, October 18th, is trivia night. We have 1 or 2 tables left. It's 40 is full for us. We have that. We have a couple other events, golf tournament and such through the year. And then we do, of course, direct mail pieces, things like that. And then it's corporate sponsorships or corporations, family foundation. We were flooded out of our space
Oh
last
gosh.
November, and we just got in 2 weeks ago. So we've been in this temporary place running our programs on the top level of our building in Glendale. And so we just got back together with that. But we're going to need to expand. 1 in 6 kids, I don't know if you know, 1 in 6 kids will have someone significant die before they're 18.
Mm.
1 in 6. Think about your classroom, think about your soccer team and all that. So we have to raise all that money through every form that's out there. So it's corporations, it's individuals, it's the events we do. Third party, we have had such generosity from Dave Green and his friends, all related
I
to
didn't know that. That's
Jay,
on.
Jay Randolph Jr.,
Yes.
his partner, works for us. She's philanthropy director, Amy LaBelle.
Oh,
Oh my
And
gosh.
so they have done collections of toys for our kids. They have done a fundraiser when we had the flood. They had a main campaign for us that raised, I think, like it was over $50,000 for us. That, to our organization, is like $1 million.
Oh
So
yes.
it's a really big deal. So thank you for asking about that part.
That's so important. Volunteers are so important.
They're the heart.
They are everything with an organization. I always say, if you find an organization out there that you love, support it. Find a way. Not everyone has the ability to write a big check, but to be able to, give your time and be able to support that is absolutely beautiful. So Annie's Hope, that's annieshope.org, correct? Definitely check it out. There, like she said, 1 in 6. I know it's hit close to home with us, and my daughter has been told by so many people, including myself, to get a hold of Annie's Hope and get the boys involved. So I'm really looking forward to her doing that as well. But I want to make sure that before we say goodbye, with that, we give a big hello to Jennifer Williams, and that is at St. Louis Closet Company. She's someone that is very philanthropical, loves to support local, and we love supporting her because she's local. Everything she does is right on site. It's locally manufactured right there at their beautiful building there on Big Bend. Gorgeous brick building. You walk inside, you're going to see so many different areas that you can walk into to give you ideas of maybe how you can take your home to a calm feeling, because most of us are living in chaos. We can't find anything, either your garage, your basement, your pantry, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter how small it is, how big it is. St. Louis Closet Co. can help you bring your house, your business, your studio back into a calm feeling so that you can get your work done, do what you need to do, keep your family organized and easy to get out the door. So St. Louis Closet Co., check it out for yourself. You will not be sorry. And Becky Byrne, thank you so much for coming in and being able to let us know about Annie's Hope, because it is so needed. We appreciate it. Again, annieshope.org. So, Gordon, are we going to say cheers here from the studio today, or are we going to take it from
We are going
another
to say
place?
cheers from the studio today.
We
Yes.
are going to do
Yes,
it from
we
the
are.
studio. All right. Well, maybe our next show will be able to take it to you from another place, as we love to do. So, of course, until our next show, right here on the at the Lou Information Station on In Your City Show, we want to say to you, cheers.
Cheers.